All right, I'm here. This is Sanabul Fight Buzz. I'm Zach. This is Christian, and this is the inaugural first episode of Sanabul Fight Buzz segment of Sanabul Media. So, Christian, how's it going today?
Good, brother. We got the pilot episode. This is it. We're taking off. We are ready to go.
Finally ready to go. We've had so many. We've tried this so many times. You guys have no idea. We've had so many technical issues on both ends, and we're finally getting this going. We've been excited to do it the whole time, and we're super excited for you guys to enjoy it. So basically, what the podcast is going to be about, we're going to be going over the most recent fight card, and then breaking down the upcoming fight cards as well, and then talking about other recent news, and then answering any Q&As that you all have from the last episodes as well. So if you enjoy these episodes, make sure you leave a like, comment below any questions that you have. We're going to make sure to address them in the next episode, and then subscribe and turn those notifications on just so you know when the next one's coming. All right. Sweet. So the last UFC card we had was UFC Austin. This like we were just talking about this, but we were just talking about how it looked like a pay-per-view card on paper, and then the outcome was basically a pay-per-view card as well. It's crazy that was a fight night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like when you look at this lineup, like they easily could have charged this full pay-per-view price for this. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think the only thing that had to have been added to this would have been probably a title fight or just some insane 5 round main event that had probably a little bit better than Dariush Tsarukyan when it comes to star power. But other than that, like the skill on this main card and then even on the prelims was so high level. It was awesome that it was free for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think we'll get into it. I'm sure, but I definitely think that in terms of Sarukian's star power, this is gonna help.
Fired up for sure. All right. So I mean, starting off the card, like we in the prelims, the most exciting thing that happened was obviously we had Drakkar Klose, who was in that armbar, and he said, "I don't like armbars or being armbarred," and he just picked his opponent up and he slammed him on his head and knocked him out.
Yeah, he pretty much said jujitsu doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, here's gravity.
And then Cody Brundage was in the back room watching that, and he decided to do it again the next fight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first time there's ever been two slam knockouts
I
in the same
think so.
card. So
Yeah, I think it
that's
was
pretty
like
wild.
11 total slam knockouts. I don't know if that exactly was the number. It was like 11 total and then two back to back. Insane.
That's crazy.
And but like my first thought, honestly, my first thought after watching that, even just the Jakar one, and then I watched the Cody, but even just after the Jakar one, I was like, I don't know if I want to put someone in an armbar from my guard. And
Yeah,
then you see Cody have put, I think it was a triangle in Cody's. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was putting something in from his back, and then he just got picked up and slammed. And it's like, how do you avoid that? I know you can like hook a leg, but I mean, there's still the opportunity to get that if the timing's off. So it's a pretty risky thing to do that from your back if guys are just going to start slamming.
oh, absolutely. I mean, there's kind of a couple of things that come into play. Like you said, grabbing the heel, like hooking behind for the heel is
Mhm.
definitely something you got to try to do. But one, you got to do that quick.
Yeah,
Like this guy starts picking you up, you don't have a lot of time to think, right?
yeah,
And two, the guy's got
exactly.
to have like Rampage Jackson style strength. Like to pick a guy your same size up and slam him is that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive. And I not everyone's gonna do it to you, so
Yeah,
it
most
paid
likely
off.
those guys are in the weight room more than some other fighters for sure. All right, moving up the card. Well, congrats to Drakkar Klose and Cody Brundage on those performances. I mean, Drakkar Klose did that was awesome. Like he boosted his star power a lot there, and he's a fighter that I've always liked a lot. So I'm excited to see him back in there. Then we have moving up the card, we have Sean Brady and Kelvin Gastelum. This fight was like it meant a lot, I think, for both of these guys because I think both of them were. I'm not sure if they're on losing streaks, but both of them have been pretty on and off recently in their careers, and both of them had a lot of potential for sure. But I think Sean Brady just, I mean, what did you see in this fight that like stood out to you?
Well, yeah, it was kind of it was interesting because I believe Sean Brady is was 15-1 going into the fight, something like that. Like he had only lost that one fight. It was Bilal, and Bilal was pretty dominant from what I recall. So you're totally right. It was kind of like this bounce back fight for Sean. And then
Yeah.
from Kelvin Gastelum, it's like this. Like I don't know how familiar you are with him, but like even his run to the Ultimate Fighter, like
Yeah,
he's kind of been an underdog type
for
of
sure.
guy, and then he's had issues with his weight. Went up to middleweight. That wasn't exactly the best for him. So for him to come back down, like he looked good at 170. I thought
Yeah.
like he didn't look crazy on the scales. Like I don't know if Sean Brady was the guy for him to come back down to, or what's next for Kelvin, but Sean just showed his skill, like
Yeah.
his like, and Kelvin's a good wrestler. Like Kelvin's a really good wrestler. Like he should have. It just really goes to show you the performance that Sean Brady and the skill that he's at to handle Kelvin like that is crazy.
Yeah, Sean Brady's just elite of the elite when it comes to grapplers in the UFC. I mean, he's just so good. And then Gastelum's like kind of a mix of both. And then obviously there's a lot of athleticism involved. I don't think anyone's ever looked at Kelvin Gastelum in the octagon or out of the octagon and said that guy's like an athlete necessarily. Although he does perform well and he's a great fighter, it's just like there's going to be a little bit of a performance difference with certain guys, and we saw that I think in the Sean Brady and Gastelum fight when it comes to like strength, explosiveness, athleticism, and then endurance there as well. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think Gastelum, if he wants to really be at welterweight, I think a difference in his training. I don't know. I'm not in his team, obviously, but he looked the same at welterweight as he looked at middleweight to me, like when it came to his physique and how he was looking when he walked in there. So, um, I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy to like when you see guys come in and they're like in their debut or their first like two or three fights and they're putting on dominant performances. It's like, oh wow, this guy's got a lot of potential. This is crazy. But like sometimes it's like when Hamzat first came in and he was just mauling everyone he touched, or like
Yep.
Ian Gowrie right away. Like it's like, oh my, this guy has potential to be great. But then when you see a guy like maul someone who's like a well-known name, like a competitive
Yeah.
guy in the
Yep.
UFC, it's pretty crazy. Like it really goes to show you, like similar to the Habib situation where he was mauling guy like the best of the best, and it's like,
Yep.
wow, like it blows my mind to see. Like it also speaks volumes to Bilal Muhammad, not to take away from Sean Brady,
Yeah.
but the like it just gives you a nice comparison point.
Yeah. I think I'm excited to see what's next for Sean Brady in that division. I think there's lots of fun matchups for him. Um, and I don't know, Gilbert's looking to fight at UFC 299 or UFC 300. So who knows? That could be a good matchup for him too.
That would be a great matchup for Gilbert. I noticed he did call out Ian Gary. I don't know if that's
Did
just
he?
going to be everyone's calling him out now. Yeah, right after the
Guys from
fight.
Killcliff, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He said something about I'll maul your boy, something to that effect.
Wow.
So
I didn't see
yeah,
that. That's funny. I guess all the Killcliff guys want a piece of him. No. Anyway, we got Rob Font and Figueiredo after that. This fight had a lot of implications on the line, obviously, too. So I mean, for both of these guys, with Figgy moving up a weight class after just a performance drop at flyweight, he was like the bogeyman at flyweight for a while, in my opinion, at least. I was looking at him and like, who's going to beat this guy? Who? And then we had Brandon Moreno playing with Legos coming in and beats just this absolute murderer of a guy. But
yeah, you're totally right. And they're two different personalities and like kind
yeah,
of personas, right? Like
yeah,
the boogeyman to babyface.
yeah,
Like it is pretty wild. And it was a big fight for Rob Font too. Like to have a guy like Figgy coming up and to be the guy to introduce him to the weight class is a lot of pressure. And especially coming off a loss against Corey Sandhagen, like that's a lot of pressure.
yeah.
And like we talked about earlier, like Rob Font is an excellent striker, in particular with his hands. Like he can box. Like he's got beautiful boxing. So for Figgy to come up and put it on him is crazy.
Yeah, Figgy's. I think we saw like just the speed advantage there, and just like a lot of strength and power too. I think he's just a savage. Like he's so fun to watch. He's so explosive, and he just has no regard for like safety whatsoever. And he just comes at you, and he's just in your face, and it's like hard for a guy like Rob Font, not necessarily smarter, but probably thinking about his like safety a little more when he's fighting, just like keeping that being a little more defensive than Figgy fights, and that's like a good way to fight in some situations if you have that explosiveness and that power.
No, absolutely. And like we had talked about earlier, for him to come up, for Figgy to come up and his power to translate. Like, not, you don't see it a lot with certain guys, but like example, Max Holloway, when he went up and fought DP at 155, and like his power, just not that Max is known for his power, but it really didn't translate. There was a significant difference in power, even though it's 10 pounds. Like, it just, you get guys who are cutting down from a heavyweight to make that to a guy who doesn't have to cut as much weight.
Yeah.
But Figgy, like, Deiveson's power was there, man. Like, I was so surprised to see him come up and still be like, he was rocking Rob and pushing him back. Like, the impact was heavy. You could tell they were hard shots. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do.
Honestly, you didn't even see that as much at flyweight as you do now. Like, I mean, in his recent fights, I mean, that was also against Moreno, and Moreno does have a chin on him, so it's like a hard comparison. But Rob Font has a chin on him too, so I think to see him, like, obviously, like you said, just still have that power at that weight class is super important. And
Oh
he's
yeah,
calling out
I'm
Sean
super
too.
excited. Yeah, everyone wants a piece of the Sugar Show.
That'd be a sick fight though. That'd be that lead up would be insane. And I'm sure Sean would make a lot of jokes about Figgy for sure. So I think that'd be just a fun matchup.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that one. I'd love to see him and Cheeto. Like, there's a lot of guys I'd love to see
Yeah,
him fight.
Figgy and Cheeto. If Cheeto, well, when Cheeto loses, I think Figgy and Cheeto would be a sick fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool matchups at 35 for him.
That's a scary fight for anyone though. Figgy.
It is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just thinking of other guys. Like, it's crazy, man. The UFC is in such a wild position with the talent, like, in every division.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking at every division, like, oh my goodness, there's like 10 guys in every division who are just absolute killers. Like, could all be champions. It's crazy.
So fun. Yeah.
It's great.
And then the next fight, this was obviously a big controversy on the card, probably one of the main things. Jalin Turner against Bobby Green. We had Jalin Turner stepping in on short notice. He had to weigh in twice, I think, just to make sure he made that weight. I would just completely fair. Like, I think it was like 181 to 150 or once. What did he, was it a catch weight 160?
I'm not sure what it ended up being.
But he made weight. He ended up making weight. And then he messed up Bobby Green. He knocked him out, and then the ref was sleeping. I don't know if
Oh my goodness. What a freaking stoppage. That might be the most controversial stoppage, like, of our late stoppage I've ever seen. Like,
I couldn't watch
around. Like, it was crazy. Like, when the commentators were like,
like, I was watching it and I was just like, okay, no, yeah, okay, oh my god, okay, and then I just couldn't watch anymore because he just kept beating on his the sides of his head, and he was out.
It's crazy. And like, you can't blame Jalin, because like, I've also, and I'm sure you've seen fights where like a guy stops and then the other guy somehow does manage to recover and then gets up and then makes some kind of, lose a decision, or like, that
and
stuff does happen. So
it's Bobby Green.
Yeah, exactly. like, it was an interesting fight. I loved the way that the Jalin got it done. The way he doubled up on that jab, and like, almost like just a feint to get Bobby to show his head movement, and then he actually throws the right where Bobby's head goes. Like, Bobby does that. Bobby's such an unorthodox fighter where he does this like leaning to the side, hands down, makes it really hard to predict where he's going to be and where his shots are going to come from. Like, you ever spar someone with their hands down? I know it seems weird,
it just comes
but
out from random angles. Yeah.
It's crazy. So, but it's very, like, Bobby has a lot of success with it, but with Jalin being so big and long, like, when they showed the replay, it was crazy. Like, he doubles up in the jab just enough to get Bobby to slip his head off, and then he was already sending that right hand towards where Bobby was going to slip. So it was perfect, right in the side of the temple. Bang.
Yeah.
Beautiful setup. Beautiful.
And I don't know what was going on with Bobby Green and Tsarukyan before that fight in the hotel. I don't know what that was about. I guess Bobby Green said that Tsarukyan was boring, and then Tsarukyan took that as like the worst insult that he's ever heard in his life. I don't know. Like, that was a lot just after being called boring. I'm not going to say anything about like either fighter, but I love both these guys. But that was like just like some random beef. It was like super weird.
Yeah, it is really random, especially between those two. Like, it doesn't feel like there'd be any kind of connection there, but and like, it's tough when they're not getting really personal. It's more like Bobby's just talking about his performance. Like, he doesn't appreciate Arman style. So
Yeah,
it's like, man, it's not the end of the world. Probably not worth fighting outside of the ring for, but
definitely not. Yeah.
yeah, oh well. A little bit
Well,
of tension.
yeah, it's not gonna cause any harm, I guess, unless they just actually went at it in the hotel and hurt each other. But other than that, it's just gonna make fights more fun.
Honestly. And you know what? Even though that Jalin did get it done, I am still interested in seeing Bobby fight Dan Hooker at some point.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know
that'll be fun.
what's gonna be next for Dan, but like that's another guy that like that. I don't know if you remember the Jalin Hooker fight, but oh my goodness, like
Yeah,
just absolute war. There's certain
yeah,
guys it doesn't really matter where they're ranked or what the implications are. You just want to see them scrap. Like Dan
yeah,
Hooker, Bobby Green, like those are two
for
guys that's
sure.
like I don't care. This could be a parking lot fight. I just want to see them go at it. Like
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah, I mean we had the top of the lightweight division going at it in the main event. We had Dariush and Tsarukyan. I don't know if anyone saw this coming. But this was pretty crazy. I mean, obviously Tsarukyan didn't like being called boring. Because he
yeah,
just
he took the heart.
yeah, he went at Beneil, threw like a knee to the head, and then as his knee was coming down, he threw a same side hook and just caught him clean with that hook. And it was just such a unorthodox shot. Like you never really see the same side knee and the same side hook on the way down. Like it was pretty impressive. And then to even have that power as you're coming down to knock him out, like someone at that high of a level is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I mean, like it was almost like a fake knee. Like I don't even know if he made contact with the knee or if he like used it almost like a Superman hook. It was like
Yeah.
up and then as it's coming down, he throws that and
Yeah.
he just happened to have the torque. Like, yeah, it's and they always say like the shots you don't see coming are the ones that hurt the most, right? And that's exactly what happened. Poor Beneil, just like the nicest guy to lose a fight. You know?
Yeah, it's hard to see. And after such a long run and never being given a
Yeah.
title shot after everything he did, and then losing, I think, two in a row now, right? Like who?
It's
Yeah,
yeah, his last fight was oh yeah, Oliveira. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, and Oliveira got it done as well. And then you start to worry when guys lose multiple fights by KO, TKO, then you get worried. Like
Well,
back to back
yeah.
like that, you're like, oh.
I don't know what's next. Like what he's like. I saw a tweet and it said that he tried to like grab the mic and retire, and they wouldn't let him.
Oh really?
Well, I don't know how accurate that was, but that's what like I read that. But I mean, like that would make sense. Like after
Yeah, it's
such a
tough.
long run, and I don't know how old he is, but he's like pretty much been there and done that. And then if you lose two in a row by knockout, you got to take some time off, and then like consider what's next because you're gonna have to make your way all the way back up now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tough too because like at 155, like he's 34. Like
Yeah,
at 155, it's so competitive. Like you would have to be fighting. You'd have to have like I don't know, four more wins
yeah,
probably.
probably.
Like so, what's
Yeah,
your 38? You know what I mean? Like that's tough at lightweight. Like it's hard to get it done at the lower weights at higher ages, man. Like you kind of see a tendency like higher weights guys because the speed. They say speed's the first thing to go, right? Power's last. So younger guys tend to have shorter careers, or smaller guys tend to
yeah,
have shorter careers. I don't
yeah,
know. It's hard for us to say, but you've also got to consider that your chin has a shelf life. Like
yeah.
guys can only get hit so many times before it gets easier, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like with the age at those lower weight classes, it's like and how long it takes you to get back to that chance because like I said, like before, like Beneil had that long streak and he's not necessarily one of the UFC's first choices to put in a title fight. Not that it has anything to do with his skill level, not that it has anything to do with him as a person, but he's just not going to get as many pay-per-view buys as putting Conor McGregor in there on a 3-fight loss streak.
No,
Like
exactly.
or
You're
anyone
totally
really.
right. You're
Yeah.
totally right. And like it's kind of tough because they like I was actually listening to a pod today that talked about this. Like there's something to be said for the guy that doesn't care about who he fights next and he'll just say, I'll fight anyone. I want to run through the whole division.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also something to be said with a guy who's like, no, I'm a star. I'm here. I
That's
want this
Sean.
guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's something to be said for both guys. Like you have respect for the one guy, but some of those star power guys, they put asses in seats, and it makes a huge difference, right? And it's like then maybe you do get to jump a couple guys, maybe you get
Yeah.
that opportunity, and you got to take advantage of it. But Beneil, he hasn't been that guy, right?
Yeah.
He just nothing against him. The guy's an absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic fighter. It's hard to see a path where he gets back to the title without winning
A
at least
lot.
3 more fights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I mean, Drakkar Klose actually during his post fight interview, I think he said, "Give me the easiest person you'll give me. I just want to get paid," or something like that. He's like, "Just give me the easiest fight." And I mean, everyone's thinking it. Like most people are
Well,
probably thinking it. They're just they want the money. But
yes.
like that, and they're thinking that the harder fight is probably going to get them the more money with the bigger name. And Drakkar said like, he knows he's not going to get a fight with Charles. He knows he's not going to get a fight with anyone who's going to give him a million. So he's like,
Yeah.
just give me the easiest fights you can, and I'll make money fast. I'll fight every month probably. Like
Exactly. That's like Clay Guida. Look at that guy. He's like 38-21. Guy's fought like 60 times. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
yeah, you gotta those. Everything adds up.
All right, just a quick stoppage in the recording for everyone who's still watching. So, if you could please leave a question in the comment section below so that we can answer it in the next video. The more topics we have from you guys, the better. So, any questions you guys have for us as a brand, or just anything that has to do with the UFC and the fight game in general, we'd love to talk about it. We're both excited for any debatable topics that you guys want. Sweet. So moving forward, this weekend we have Yadong Song against Chris Gutierrez. This is going to be a pretty good card. It's the last fight night of the year. The co-main event could easily be a main event for a fight night, for sure. Other than that, it's a pretty chill card. We have Alan Nascimento on there as well. He's a friend of the brand. He's a great fighter. But the co-main and the main are definitely the exciting points of the night. So we have Khalil Rountree and Anthony Smith as the co-main event. What are your first thoughts on that one?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think both these guys are like character guys. Like they both have something interesting going on. Like Khalil's last fight, when he had that crazy Muay Thai stance, which I love, like
Me
the
too.
bouncing fist coming in, the knee jacked up, like
Yeah.
he looks like a Jose Aldo
Yeah.
walking forward on, but
With
205 pounds of
extreme
muscle.
power. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Wild.
excited to see it. I think first thought is that we're gonna get TKO from Khalil on Anthony. Just that's the way I'm taking
Yeah.
it. Just I was watching Anthony's last fight with Span. Uh, my thought would be that Anthony's game plan is going to be to go grapple heavy against Khalil.
Yeah.
That's my guess. Is that he's
That's
probably
a
going to try and take it
tough
to the
one
ground.
to get in on Khalil.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but I would think that
Yeah,
he's got to recognize that Khalil's
yeah.
going to have the striking advantage. But
Jesus, I worry for Anthony in this one, and I like him. It's just that's
yeah,
such a hard fight to take on at his age too, with the guy with this much power. And Anthony's been finished quite a few times. So I don't know. Like it's
yeah, and it's tough. Anybody is going to do it. It's a guy with the nickname Lionheart, you know.
yeah, for sure. It's just sometimes people have too much lion in their heart for their own good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like, I don't want to put anything against Anthony. He even actually, when I was in his last fight with Span, he had a bit of a, um, he had a lighter front foot. He was checking the kicks, doing things like that. He was targeting the calf of Ryan Span, which I don't think would be as advantageous with Ryan or with Khalil Rountree's
Yeah, I don't know
stance, just
either.
because it's more
Yeah,
back foot heavy. But
yeah,
we'll see. I think you might see him try and get him against the cage,
yeah. Khalil
wear down on him a
Roundtree's
bit.
yeah, yeah. That would make a lot of sense if he could gas him out by the second round. I think that's his best opportunity for sure. Um, I it was very interesting to watch Khalil Rountree's career because I watched him on The Ultimate Fighter. It was one of the only seasons that I watched like all the way through, and I liked him a lot. And then it seemed like he just like didn't have something. He didn't have something, and then he went to Thailand, and he like came back with just a dog in him, and it was the way he fought, and it was just his strict disciplined style and staying in that stance and then power. Like he came back with insane power, and then stuff that you don't see anyone do. Like if a guy's on the ground, just absolutely boom, just laying a kick on him as hard as you possibly can, over and over and over and again, and like making him get up. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm super excited to see his growth.
yeah, absolutely. And he's on a 4-fight win streak. Like this is actually a pretty substantial fight for him. And like that knockout on Dawkins was well, like it was a straight right, just bang. It was powerful. You're totally right. Like he's got
Yeah.
a lot of power in his movement, man. It's gonna be crazy.
And then
I
I don't,
again, I think he's gonna TKO Anthony Smith, and I like Anthony, but
yeah. If there's a prediction, that would be my prediction too. And then I don't know if it was Ola Jacek or someone he fought before Dawkins, but he had that oblique kick on his knee, and it just just drop, like just oh boom, the fight's over. And
I
like
remember that.
that was such a hard thing to watch because he just has no regard like at all for like caring for his opponent. And I don't know if some other fighters have just a little bit in them, but he has none.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And that oblique kick's kind of a tough one, right? Like it is. It's fighting. You're in a cage, and
Yeah.
you're fighting until one of you wins. But man, that is a damaging kick, isn't it? A
God.
side kick to the oblique.
Yeah.
That clip was nasty. That's one of those ones like, ooh, you can just feel it through the screen.
Yeah. It's hard to watch. Yeah, and then we got the main event, Song Yadong and Chris Gutierrez. This one's exciting for sure. It kind of has like all right implications in the bantamweight division. There's a lot going on in that division right now. I mean, Song Yadong is obviously a great name, and then if Chris Gutierrez can get this win over him, it could mean moving up into that potential top 5 matchups. Possibly, it's hard to say at this point, but it depends if one of them really like shows something for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we were just talking about, I do feel like the division's just so stacked that it's so hard to say that, oh, the winner of this is guaranteed. Like Song Yadong he's a bad man.
Yeah.
His fight against Corey Sandhagen with that doctor stoppage, even though he lost, like he's a bad man. He's a big looking 135er, isn't he? Like he
Yeah, he
carries a
is.
lot of weight, like
Mm-hmm.
in his arms and shoulders. Like and he's got great boxing. But Gutierrez, he's got some nasty and creative kicks. That's
Yeah.
how I would think he's probably going to target the front leg, the lead leg of Song
Mm-hmm.
Yadong, and just try to beat that down,
Yeah.
considering
Just
how
slow
heavy
him
he would
down
be
for
on it.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough fight. I'd say it's probably 50-50. Like both these guys are so good. I'd probably give Song Yadong the advantage when it comes to just experience against the top of the top at the bantamweight division for sure. Like he's not looking at this matchup as the hardest opponent he's had so far, and Gutierrez probably is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I'd look at it. But maybe that gives Gutierrez that mentality that he has to come in there and do his best, and then Yudong's maybe looking at it a little like he wants a harder fight. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really fun fight. The style matchup is going to be super fun for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would think that it's probably going to be like a battle of positioning, just considering how heavy on kicks Chris Gutierrez is. Like
Mm-hmm.
he needs more space than Song, right? Like Song's probably going to be working the whole time to get inside.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
my guess, that'll be the game plan. So it's going to be interesting. I
Yeah.
think we're bound to see a stoppage. Oh, I would guess a stoppage, one way or the other.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be fun. I think we're going to see one in the co-main too, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. That's where we call it today. I'm super happy that we finally got this one done. And if anyone watching has any feedback, positive or negative, please let us know in the comments below. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to keep this one going. And I'd love to have some questions to answer for the next one as well in that Q&A. So if you're still watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and then leave a comment for that Q&A.